Peace and love, family. Welcome to another powerful discussion with your sister, Dr. Maat. I started to, I guess this is my Baltimore side coming out. I started to, when I hit the go live button, I was going to play um, Remy Martin's diss track to Nicki Minaj. And you know how it starts off. You want to see a dead body? And she's bodying Nicki because tonight I plan on bodying Nick Cannon's comments regarding polygamy and monogamy. So anyway, family, take a moment out right now to share this broadcast. We need to combat misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation with truth. Right. And so sharing is caring. Make sure, family, that you share this broadcast, share this show. Let's get the real information out there to the people. But I want to start off, family, with a clip. Like I said, initially, I wanted to start off with not Nicki Minaj, Remy Martin's diss track to Nicki Minaj because, she said, you want to see a dead body? Because she was bodying Nicki on the track, and I plan on bodying Nick Cannon's erroneous claims tonight. But I'm going to start off instead with some words from our beloved ancestor, Malcolm X, who warned us about following celebrities. He told us that celebrities aren't our leaders, and he referred to celebrities as clowns. And so I'm going to start off the broadcast with a word from our beloved ancestor.
These leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. And it is an honor, actually, that they endorsed Dr. Martin Luther King and were against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's actually an honor. Now, when you say that they also, in the same Newsweek poll magazine, I think the pollster said that he went into the Negro community and asked about the Muslims. And many Negroes whom he asked said, well, I never heard of the Muslims. Who are they?
This is the rank and file we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Now, when they got down to the rank and file, this was the answers that they got. This is equivalent to the situation in Kenya during the Mau Mau uprising, when many frightened whites in Kenya, Africa, would go among the Africans and ask them, what about the Mau Mau? And the African would say, I never heard of them. And the same white man who would ask the African this question and very naively believe what the African said, when he went to bed that night, he would lose his head. And usually the one who took his head was the same African who told him that afternoon he had never heard of the Mau Mau.
Except in the Newsweek poll, they used Negro interviewers.
You'll find that oftentimes Negroes are as much on guard around Negro interviewers, who usually represent the bourgeois element of Negroes, as they are on guard around whites. Usually Negroes know that when this bourgeois Negro walks through the door, he is not doing something that he's initiated himself, but he's involved in something in which the white man is the absolute author of and has sent him to the Negro community for some information. And when they give that Negro some information, usually they give him the information that they want him to take back to the white man, because that's who he's going to take it back to.
Ashe.
Told you a little while ago.
Ashe to our beloved ancestor, Malcolm X, who warned us more than 50 years ago about following celebrities. He called them clowns. He said these are people who have been propped up by the white media. They're nothing more than clowns. So, the stuff that Nick Cannon says and does, I'm not surprised because I view him as a clown. Now, you might have some people who say, "Oh no, Dr. Maat, he's hiring a lot of black people and he's putting them in positions, he's putting them on TV, but he doesn't own anything." So he may be putting them on, but he's putting them on with white folks, and these black folks are making these white folks more money. So I don't care about that. And we saw that, family, when he made those comments with Professor Griff. Remember, he sat down with Professor Griff. He started saying all this stuff about the Jewish community, right? And then we saw that after that, they took his show away, wilding out. But he did so much cyber slurping that they end up giving him his show back. So we're not looking at him like a boss. We know he's not a boss. We know that he's nothing more than $1 million slave. All right, but I want to say peace and love to the people in the building. I see brother Jeremy, he's in the building. Mary Jane's Rebirth is in the building. The Melanated Cafe, salute to you, brother. I see you in the building. I laughed at your comment about, you said the black turtleneck. You said black turtleneck, though. You're prepared for the battle. So it always takes one of my Baltimore brothers to see, to peep what's happening. Brother Ryan is in the building. I see brother Comrade Gordon is in the building. Peace to brother Mitchell Guest. I see a beautiful mind, my beloved sister. She's in the building. New Black World Order. Peace to you, brother. First Works Media. Peace to you, family. Thank you so much for joining. And so that's what I wanted to start it off with. Our words from our beloved ancestor Malcolm X, who warned us about celebrities. And I always say, family, for those of you who are connected with me, I always say, if only we listened to our ancestors, where would we be? I'm gonna say that one more time. If only we would have listened to our ancestors, right? And I'm not talking about the black collaborators or the traitors. I'm talking about our black historians, our black scholars, our black revolutionaries, our black freedom fighters. If only we listened to them, where would we be? So we're here, family, tonight to talk about Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon was recently on the Breakfast Club show. And while he was on the Breakfast Club show, he, and matter of fact, I'm sorry, family. I neglected to say this. The title of the show is, Nick Cannon speaks about polygamous love, right? And that's what they're calling it, polygamous love. But in my opinion, what he's practicing isn't polygamy, it's promiscuity, right? Because during the interview, he talked about how, he's impregnating multiple women. He's really not committed to any of them. And that is not what polygamy is. In fact, one of my babas, he is a practicing polygamist, and he and I had an exchange on Facebook yesterday, and I told him that I would read his comment to you all when I went live regarding what polygamy is and what it isn't. And so he said, Dr. Maat, I listened to the parts where Nick Cannon talked about his ideas about what was clearly mislabeled as polygamous love, but I heard no evidence of him having any wives or being involved in any type of African or polygamous relationship. As I suspected, he is simply involved in multiple relationships with numerous women, some of whom end up having babies by him. No commitment needed or even considered. He is clearly not practicing African or polygamous familyhood, and he makes it abundantly clear during the breakfast interview. So whether he uses the term poly or polygamy, his own explanation of what he's doing shows that he is just out here doing his own thing by having as many women and babies that he can have with no commitment needed. Therefore, the lingo poly does not in any way match the reality of what African or polygamous familyhood is. Again, this conclusion is supported by his own words. He is not misrepresenting polygamy. Why? Because he's not a practitioner of it. He is just another Negro out here screwing around with a bunch of women having babies. He does not claim to have frequent interaction with his children and to give them adequate support, but he clearly is not a practitioner of African polygamous and familyhood. Bottom line, what needs to be done for him and all other Negroes like him is that he needs to be told to stop using the term polygamy to describe the unprincipled BS that he's doing. African or polygamous familyhood is an honorable familyhood practice that is based on genuine love and commitment, not that BS that he's doing. Polygamy means the practice or condition of having many or several spouses at one time. Promiscuity means characterized by frequent and indiscriminate changes of one's sexual partners. Simply stated, a whore is not polygamous. He or she is being promiscuous. A prostitute is not being polygamous. He or she is being promiscuous. Nick Cannon is practicing promiscuity, not any African or polygamous familyhood, and he needs to stop using the term polygamy to describe his openly obvious, blatant promiscuity with any woman who suits his fancy and will have him. Ashe to Dr. Batu Shikari, who should be in the building. He and I were going back and forth, like I said, on the Facebook page. And I said, well, he's misrepresenting polygamy, Baba. And he said, no, Dr. Maat, he's not representing polygamy at all. He's not representing it at all. So how can he misrepresent it if he's not representing it, right? And in my initial statement, and I've been saying this for since I watched the interview, I said, it sounds to me that Nick Cannon is just being promiscuous. He just want to sleep with whoever you want to sleep with. And if the woman so happens to get pregnant, then that's just what it is. Nick Cannon, to be honest with you, family, his behavior is more of a plantation buck, right? Than someone who's practicing polygamy. It's more of a plantation buck. And we know what the plantation buck was used for, right? He was a stud. He was just used to create babies, to go around and impregnate different women, to create more children, thus increase the labor force, right? Or the number of laborers for the master. So Nick Cannon, really, with his actions, are really that of a plantation buck, or sometimes they call him plantation stud. But I am of the opinion, family, that you can practice whatever you want to practice. If you want to practice monogamy or polygamy, that's fine. I'm not here to bang on polygamy tonight. But what I will say is this: don't disseminate lies in order to justify or rationalize why you're doing what you're doing. Did you hear me, family? So if you're going to do it, just do it, but don't sit there. Like, even I had a debate with a chick about homosexuality being in Africa, and she misrepresented the words. Well, actually, she lied on one of our African authors and historians, Ife Amadoume, in her book, I think it's called Male Daughters, Female Husbands. And she was trying to imply, the chick that I was debating, she was trying to imply that the author was saying that it was homosexuality and the Igbo culture and the women. And I said, no, sweetheart. And then she tried to say it was two men kissing on the pyramids and the hieroglyph. And so anyway, I'm just using that example to say, do whatever you want to do, but let's not create lies, right, to justify why you do what you do. So anyway, family, I'm going to let you hear Nick Cannon's the clip of him talking about his lifestyle.
Why so many? You got so many too. I got 5 and 1 on the way. I'm gonna have 6, but I'm stopping there.
Really?
I'm stopping.
Are you sure? Is it the beauty of fatherhood, man? When you really talk about like the essence of living in as a father too, man.
Oh man, it would be a daggone commercial. Hold tight, family. There we go.
I've learned so much just from my children, man. Like, and it's so amazing. And I really just love being around my kids and just that youthful energy. It feels like you get to relive every time.
All the time. I love that.
And I think because, I've been through so much in my life, physically, mentally, and spiritually, like the best place that I find is the time that I spend with my kids and the energy, and to get as much of that as possible, to pass on, all that I've lived into something else. That's why I do it, man.
It's not the number of kids, though. I guess people question the different baby mothers. That's what.
Well, why do people question that? I mean, because that's a Eurocentric concept when you think about the ideas of like you're supposed to have this one person for the rest of your life, and really that's just
So he's saying that monogamy is a European concept. Here we go.
Classified property when you think about it. I mean, like when you go into that mindset, if we really talking that talk. Like just the idea that a man should have one woman. We shouldn't have anything. I have no ownership over this person. Like if we're really talking about how we coexist and how we populate, it's about what exchange can we create together. So I've never really subscribed to that mentality. Mm-hmm. I understand the institution of marriage and stuff, but if we go back to what that was about, that was the classified property. That was because a father gave another man his daughter for land. So when you really get to that concept, it's like, all right, well, we got to change all of this up because I don't want ownership over anybody. I don't have ownership of any of the mothers or like we create families in that sense of we created a beautiful entity. So I get into it because I don't, those are the concepts that a lot of people, because we're so indoctrinated into it, like, we have to have it this way. I'm not, I don't subscribe to that. I actually think women are blessing us. Those women and all women are the ones that open themselves up to say, I would like to allow this man in my world and I will birth this child. Mm-hmm. So it ain't my decision. I'm following suit. So
women,
I respect that game you running on them ladies. Wow, Nick, that's what you spitting? That's the dream you selling? Wow.
So the women that
they the ones that are making the choice.
So the women you have in a relationship with, they don't mind that
every woman that I deal with or dealt with, obviously my life is on Front Street at all times. They know how I feel, and it usually is a constant. Like I'm not going around like who I'm gonna impregnate next. Like, nah, it's usually scenarios and like that's the thing. People say certain things in the public, but when you really look at how a family infrastructure is designed, the woman is the one that always leads and makes the decision.
I agree wholeheartedly. I say it all the time. I say that we had to do some real societal brainwashing to make people believe that men were the actual leaders.
Okay, so you heard Nick Cannon. So this is not Dr. Maat putting words in his mouth. He said that, you know, monogamy is a European concept, and then he talked about how marriage was about property ownership, and he was really kind of all over the place. Now, if you compare, you know, African monogamy to Eurocentric monogamy, then I would say that he was correct in that instance, right? Because when you compare them, you see with African monogamy, women could get divorced, they could own property, but with European monogamy, it was more of a property thing. So it seems like he's kind of like mixing up concepts at this point. But tonight, I'm dealing with his statement that monogamy is in a Eurocentric concept. But before I do, family, I have a beautiful presentation lined up for you tonight. But I just want to point out, and one of the sisters said it in the chat room, Sister Beautiful Mind. She said he's a walking contradiction. And that's why you can't believe anything that Nick Cannon says. But the reason why I'm even taking time out to address this foolishness is because the Breakfast Club is a major platform, right? And so he's literally sitting on a platform that reaches millions of people, and he's lying. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's just flat out. Some people may say, Doc, he's not lying. He's just ignorant. Ignorance, lies, he's lying, in my opinion. He's lying. But I mean, you may say he's just ignorant or whatever. I think he's lying to justify why he does what he does. And that's just my belief. But he's a walking contradiction. So he sits there and says that monogamy is a Eurocentric concept, but he's in the entertainment business. The entertainment business is a European invention. It's a Eurocentric, and I'm talking about this entertainment system here in America. It was invented by white folks, okay? And so he don't think it's Eurocentric. Nothing's Eurocentric about him being in the entertainment business. I'm sorry, I think I said system, but entertainment business. That's Eurocentric. And then have you ever looked at the women that he's impregnating? All of the women have Eurocentric features. They look very European, or they're racially ambiguous. You would never see Nick Cannon date a woman that looks like him. I mean, I haven't seen it. And maybe because I don't keep up with him. But the women that he impregnates, none of them look like him. None of them would ever look like me. You get what I'm saying? And so he doesn't, subscribe to monogamy because it's Eurocentric, but he likes those Eurocentric dollars that he's getting from those Eurocentric men, right? He doesn't subscribe to monogamy because it's Eurocentric, but the women that he dates look Eurocentric. In fact, a while ago, didn't he say that white women were a symbol of success? Hold on, let's play the clip.
White women are looked at as success in America. We see a white woman, I couldn't have you. My daddy couldn't have you. My granddaddy couldn't have. I would get killed even looking at you. So now, if I play for the NBA, I want them all.
So you're telling me the black woman who has been there for us the whole damn time, when we were getting lynched, when we were getting whipped, who was there for us to heal our wounds? If you can give up on a black woman so easily, you don't deserve no other woman, because you have demonstrated that you can't give enough love to the number one who needs it the most, because she has been destroyed the most, rejected the most. She is the number one divorced, last married, most mistreated, and you telling me that because now you have money, now I'm free to go mess with the same white woman who helped to keep me in slavery. Selfish black brothers, selfish, who want to come together with a white one as an individual, as though she is the epitome of greatness. She's the most beautiful. She has the best hair. She has the best everything. No, I think I take some brown sugar over some white cancer-causing sugar any day.
I can't have both.
You hear him? Oh my goodness, I can't have both. But you don't do Eurocentric stuff, Nick. You don't do you don't do Eurocentric stuff. So family, without further ado, let me bring up my presentation. Let me bring up my presentation. Now,
leaders.
all right, here we go. I think I have it right here. All right, family. So let me see. I'm wondering if you all see, and let me kind of exit out of here. When I put it on full screen, when I put it on full screen, family, I want to make sure that you see, that you don't see the extension screen, but that you see the correct screen. Let me check my YouTube really quickly, family. Just want to make sure that I'm showing you the right screen and not the extension screen. Oh, yeah, I'm showing you the extension screen. So let me see if I can go here. Swap. I think I got it. I think I did it, family. I think I did it. I'm looking on YouTube right now to see if I swapped it and if I swapped it correctly. So hold tight, family. Up, I did it. All right, let's rock and roll. So I wrote, Nick Cannon is 100% incorrect about monogamy being a Eurocentric concept. Incorrect. And before I get into the presentation, Dr. Claire Wardle, she has an organization called First Draft, and she's done quite a bit of research on information disorder. And we know that the term disorder just means chaos and confusion. And what she did was, instead of just saying, oh, it's bad information out there, what Dr. Claire Wardle decided to do, and it's the professor from out of Harvard University, by the way, she decided to group what we would call bad information into categories. And those three categories are misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Okay. To the far left, you're looking at the definition of misinformation. Okay. And misinformation is defined as unintentional mistakes, such as inaccurate photo captions or dates or statistics, translation, or when satire is taken seriously. So we would categorize that sort of bad information as misinformation, right? And then if you move into the center of the circle, you have the center of the two overlapping circles, you have the definition for disinformation. Disinformation is fabricated or deliberately manipulated audio or visual content, intentionally created conspiracy theories or rumors. And I'm kind of torn. I mean, like, someone may say, well, Nick is just ignorant, and so maybe, he didn't mean it, it was unintentional, so he might fall into the category of misinformation. Someone else may say, it's disinformation because maybe he purposely fabricated that, right, in order to manipulate, or in order to manipulate the viewers. Okay. So I'm kind of torn between misinformation, disinformation regarding this particular topic. The third category is malinformation, right? It says malinformation is deliberate publication of private information for personal or corporate public interests, deliberate change of context, the date or time of genuine content. So what he did, I wouldn't categorize it or classify it as malinformation, but it's definitely somewhere between, or with, in misinformation or disinformation. But family, I want you to know that when we're in social media, like when we're navigating social media, whether we're in YouTube, or we're in YouTube, the YouTube world, or we might be on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, just understand that you're going to be inundated with a lot of stuff, right? I don't even want to say information, right? You're going to be inundated with a lot of stuff, right? And so we got to make sure that when you're looking at things, and when you're engaging with folks, understand that it's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation out there. And so what I'm trying to encourage you to do is try your best to develop the skills, right? The skill set to be able to discern when I'm getting information or when I'm getting misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So monogamy in Africa. So I'm going to beat Nick Cannon's claims up with literally like one source. And that source primarily is the cultural unity of Black Africa, the domains of matriarchy and of patriarchy in classical antiquity by one of our beloved ancestors who was an historian, a mathematician, a scientist, an anthropologist, a linguist. I mean, he was like literally like a multi-genius. Okay. Sheikh Anta Diop. So in this book, Sheikh Anta Diop says that in the beginning, and he's talking about of Egyptian history, he says monogamy was the general rule. He didn't say polygamy. He said monogamy. And you might say, well, Dr. Maat, what you talking about Egyptian history for? Well, we know that the oldest civilization was Kemet, right? So he's talking about in the beginning, in Kemet, monogamy was the general rule. He says since Osiris had only one wife, Isis, or you might say Osar and Oset, Seth, the brother of Osiris, was monogamous, right? He had a wife, Nephthys. It says up until the end of Egyptian history, the people remained monogamous. Only the royal family and the court dignitaries practiced polygamy in varying degrees depending on their wealth. This, and I put in brackets, polygamy, appeared to be a luxury, right? Grafted onto family and social life instead of being the primordial foundation of it. I don't even think I need to go through the rest of the presentation, to be honest with you. The source is here. Sheikh Anta Diop also tells us, and this was on page 52. So, Dr. Maat went to page 114. He says polygamy, was customary among the German aristocracy in the time of Tacitus in Greece and at the time of Agamemnon throughout the whole of Asia and in Egypt among the family and pharaohs and the dignitaries of the court. But monogamy was the rule at the level of the mass of the people, particularly in Africa. He says, insofar as Africa is considered to be the land of polygamy, because that's what they think. They think when people think of Africa, they do consider it to be the land of polygamy. And especially if you read the writings of the Portuguese people, okay, the Portuguese men that came over there, and a lot of their writings, they talked about how the different African chiefs, the kings, and how they had multiple wives. And so, the Portuguese really had a hand in painting the picture or making folks think that, Africa was just a land of polygamy, right? So Sheikh Anta Diop says, insofar as Africa is considered to be the land of polygamy, it is important to emphasize this fact. In sculptural and pictorial representations, the monogamy of the people is proved by numerous couples depicted. So let's look at some of these couples. Okay, so this is at the papyrus. Some people say papyrus. I say papyrus, but this papyrus is called the Greenfield Papyrus. It's displayed at the British Museum, and you can see that we have Nut, the sky, and it's being held up by Geb, right? Nut and Geb, right? Okay, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about compliments. Okay, let's look at some more stuff. So we have Shu, who is also present. I think this is Shu right here laying down, but Shu also had a compliment, and the compliment to Shu, and again, Shu is the air. Okay, Nut is the sky, Geb is the earth, Shu is the air, but Tefnut is the nectar of moisture or water, and Tefnut, she is the complement of Shu. You don't see Geb and Nut with a bunch of different Nuts, right? You just see Geb and Nut, just like you'll see Shu and Tefnut. Okay, and this is what Sheikh Anta Diop is talking about. Okay, even when you look at the walls, the carved the glyphs, we can take it to the glyphs. You have Sheshet and Jehuti, right? These are the nectars of writing, mathematics, and measuring. You don't see Jehuti with 3 Shesets behind him, right? You see Jehuti with a complement with Sheset. Okay, look at this. You have Haru, and then you have Het Haru. Okay, so Heru, the netter of kingship, war, and hunting in the sky, right? Het Heru, the netteret of fertility, love, and beauty. This is carved on the temple of Philae. Okay, you don't see Heru with three Het Herus, right? We just see Heru and Het Heru. Okay, his complement. This is I guess you would call it it's a block of granite, but it's a carving that is at the Louvre Museum, and it's a carving of a Sar, a Set, and Haru, man, woman, and child, right? Look, this is a scene from a small temple that once stood in Karnak. This is Hatshepsut, and she appears behind her husband, the pharaoh Tutmosis II. But I did hear that he had another wife. I did read that. But in the carving, you see that he has his complement with him. All right. The African Renaissance Monument, which is located in Dakar, Senegal. You see man, woman, and child. You don't see man with three females around him and a child. And again, family, this is not to like I said, I'm not banging on polygamy. I'm just driving home the point that Job made on page 114 when he said this. He said, insofar as Africa is considered to be the land of polygamy, it is important to emphasize, right, this fact. And he's talking about monogamy being the rule at the level of the masses of the people. And he said, in sculptural and pictorial representations, the monogamy of the people is proved by numerous couples depicted. And so what I just did, family, was I just went through to show you those couples. So on page 14, he goes on to say that it seems that this was so in all Africa during the late Middle Ages until the 10th century, which marks the extension of Islam to the native populations. Okay, it says polygamy tended in this way to become general without ever ceasing to be a sign of, without ever ceasing to be a sign of social rank. Thus, it is not rare to see members of the lower classes who, seeking to deceive themselves about their own social rank, marry several wives. Also, in the same text on page 77, he mentions Tacitus, and I hope that I'm not butchering his name, but it's Tacitus. And he says that, polygamy was really a common practice, he said right here, among the barbarians, right? So it was really a common practice amongst the Europeans, according to Tacitus. And Tacitus is regarded as one of the greatest Roman historians by modern scholars. And he was a historian and also a politician who lived around 56 AD, and he died in 120 AD. But he even said that, it was really practiced amongst them. And then if you go back through, just your studies and just do a little research on marriage, relationships amongst European men and European women, you'll see that in Europe, the women, they had no economic value, they had no rights. They had a patriarchal system set up. Those women were raped, prostituted, sold, cloistered. But the sole purpose of these women was to continue the bloodline, right? That was their sole purpose. So they, I've read, and I got this from Sheikh Anti-Job, he talks about it in Civilization and Barbarism also, that the European woman, that you would see polyandry practice over there. And for those who might say, what's polyandry, doc? Polyandry is when a woman has multiple husbands, right? Because what they did was just use the European woman, to procreate. That's all they used her for. So you might have multiple men using the same woman, to procreate. So polyandry was practiced over there in Europe. And so anyway, family, I know that Nick Cannon also said that monogamy was about the property. It was about ownership, right? Property ownership. And maybe in the European context, but certainly not in the African context. And so let me play a short video for you. This video is only 2 minutes long. But in this short video, this African explains to you the purpose and also the importance of marriage in African traditional societies.
Welcome to today's theory lesson, we are explaining the importance of marriage in African traditional society. So number one, marriage is important because it leads to bearing children to make life complete and meaningful. Also, it leads to building a family where a man and a woman unite. Marriage also provides a new relationship through kinship, where in-laws become kinsmen. It helps in remembrance of dead parents to maintain one's lineage. Marriage also acts as a uniting link in life. That is, it links the past with the present and the future. In marriage, the African traditional society, there is the reincarnation and rebirth of the dead through naming.
So let me go back a little bit. I want to get to that last slide.
Acts as a uniting link.
So she's talking, and I know you're probably like, she's kind of like her voice, the accent. You probably can't really hear too clear. But she said the importance of marriage in African traditional society, well, bearing children, building a family, providing new relationships, right? Maintaining one's lineage, uniting a link in life. All right, let's get to the rest of it.
In life, that is, it links the past with the present and the future. In marriage, the African traditional society, there is the reincarnation and rebirth of the dead through naming after the ancestors. Basically, what we mean here is they come back to life. Also, another importance of marriage in African traditional society is there is increase in human population. That is through the bearing of children. Through marriage, labor force is provided. And at number 9, it gives status to an individual because after marriage, one is seen as an adult. Marriage also enables one to understand fully the meaning of life. So another important.
Okay, so let's look at that list again, family.
Life.
So reincarnation and rebirth of the dead, because remember, we believe that when we give birth, right, in traditional African societies, that when a woman gives birth, this is an ancestor return, right? So reincarnation and rebirth of the dead. You're increasing the population. You're providing a labor force. It gives you status, right? It says and understand the meaning of life.
So another importance of marriage in the African traditional society is that it helps to develop acceptable qualities and good character. Marriage also brings companionship and caring for one another in the family. And that's number 13. It helps in developing parental responsibility. Through marriage, one attains the expectations of the society. Thanks a lot for subscribing and
let me go back again because I know that was, I like to reiterate. So she said it helps you to develop good character, it's companionship, it develops responsibility and attain expectations. You attain expectations of the society. So again, when he was talking about, marriage being about, property ownership, I guess in his mind, he was thinking about maybe Eurocentric monogamy and European monogamy, Eurocentric monogamy, but clearly African monogamy is not rooted in ownership or property ownership. It wasn't about that. All right, family. So again, as I stated earlier, do what you do, practice whatever you decide to practice, but please refrain from utilizing lies or disseminating misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation to justify what you're doing. Thank you so much, family, for listening. I'll be live on Friday at 8 p.m. because I'll be I know you heard about the polite situation and the YP, the Pharaoh situation, and so we just got to do better, family. With vetting folks who are, in the community, who are our teachers, who are our scholars, who are our freedom fighters. We really just got to do better just as a whole. All right, family. So look, I'll be here on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also join me back here on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Read Book Club. We're reading A Hidden Cost of Being African American. This Sunday, we're going to be we're going to be discussing, chapter 6. Okay, you don't need the book, okay, or have read the chapter to attend, right? You could just join the discussion and learn some stuff, right? Because our discussions are extremely informative. So I'll be live on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then I'll be live again on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for listening, family. Peace and Black Power.